Hey everybody, on this video I'm going to show you how to do a Minecraft server on Proxmox using Ubuntu Server, which is, a non-GUI setup, so it makes things a little bit easier. You're not using as many resources as you need to, or as for just maintaining the GUI that you're never going to use, right? So we'll call this Minecraft 123. I started out doing this with my kiddo, just because we were trying to set up a Minecraft server, and I was running it on my Windows machine, but I was kind of running into some issues there. So we're gonna real quick, operating system Ubuntu server, system, just leave this all the same. Then for this storage, this is my Synology backup, so I have to change it. You may not have to if you just have the default in. Disk size is 32 gigs is more than enough. It should be, 8 gigs is at a minimum is fine. All right, so there we go. So we'll put cores at 2 and 2, and then our memory, I'm going to put it at 8192 for a minimum. I've got mine set at twice as much, which makes it much easier, and it runs really smooth, but you don't necessarily have to do that. I'd say I have more resources than I actually need. The benefits of having an old desktop that I threw 128 gigs of RAM into. So we can see that it ran right here. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to click start. And so when it starts, then we're going to double click. And there's some things that we have to do here. So we're going to do that install, try/install Ubuntu, and it's going to run. And most of this stuff you can get away with just doing the basic configuration, if if that's what you want to do. But it does take a little bit of time. So English is what we're going to go to, and then we're just going to go Ubuntu server. We could actually do minimized if we wanted to, but we'll just leave it the way that it is. DHCP, it's going to give us 149. It's important to remember that. Proxy address, and then the mirror. So let it run for a little bit. There we go. Entire disk. Done. Done. Yep. Continue. And so for this, I just put, you can put whatever you want, but I just put Minecraft for the name. And then you can just do that for everything, Minecraft. Or you can make it, password specific, however you want to do it. But sometimes I just find it easier just to go for the easy stuff if you're not worried about vulnerabilities, someone getting in behind your network and messing around with your Minecraft, right? And then Minecraft. So everything is Minecraft. Okay, and then we don't need Ubuntu Pro, so we're going to leave that. This I left before, so I'm going to run that. Actually, no, I'm going to turn that off. And then I'll click this, and we're going to click Done. And it's going to go through that process of configuring the packages, which is going to take just a little bit. And while we're waiting on that, I will say that I am really enjoying using Proxmox still. It's been pretty awesome. I recently had to reset my entire Proxmox system just to reboot it, and it did have some. It was slow to start. There were some errors that I saw that hit, but I just left it running for like I think 15-20 minutes, and then all those errors kind of went away and it started up. So sometimes you just have to wait on it. Again, if you can get a universal power supply for backup, that's always good. I don't regret my purchase at all. I think I bought mine. It's an Amazon Basic. I think I got it for like $150. And I think I got 2 of them as well. One for my router, and then one for my computer. Which the reason I have one for my router is not for me; it's for my kids. Because if you've ever had the power go down at your house, that can be stressful. But if your kids don't have, internet, then that can be very much more stressful. and for us too. Sometimes if we're working, right? But I can run everything as long as the ISP has internet, or if they're providing the information, this stuff, and they have power, and I have power on my universal power supply. Everything is good and it runs perfectly fine. So just give it a little bit of time here. It's downloading and installing security updates. And if you're watching this video on YouTube, obviously feel free to skip ahead while we're kind of slowly going through this. The thing that I do on my YouTube channel is I try to make sure that I'm doing everything, that everything is specifically like we're running through it together. So if I have to do a retake, then I'll stop the recording, I'll retake, but more often than not I'll just keep going, because I have a feeling that the issues that I run into, you'll run into as well. So I did reboot now. It's going to say failed, and it's going to say press any key to remove that CD-ROM, which is, one of those things. All right, and then if you remember, our IP address was 149, so we want to remember that. That's important. So we just put everything as Minecraft. Now, if you see some stuff in the description, I'll put all this information, but I'm gonna SSH into this here shortly, just because it's much easier to copy and paste stuff over that way. But I'm gonna do a sudo apt update, and sudo apt. And I just do this because it's always good to just go through it, right? Where's nn sudo apt auto? And I know there's a way that you can add your stuff to the sudoers file, or you can run it as root, and this is so much easier to do. But honestly, I'm kind of set in my ways right now, and I feel like in a couple months or years I'll probably change my mind and go through the process of doing things differently, but I don't think I'm there yet. And that's one of the things I like about Linux and also Proxmox and some of these others, is that you don't have to necessarily know everything right away. You can do something at a certain level and then go from that level to a different level and change some things up, and then when you look back a year later, you start thinking, well, why did I ever do it that way when this was so much easier? Well, because you didn't know that it was easier at the time, right? All right, so we got that set up. Now we're going to do a sudo apt install, and then it's going to be open. So we need the Java development kit, and this one we're going to do 21. And I'll put the link in the description as well to the site that I got most of my information from. I use a site called medium.com. They have tons of good articles in there, especially when you're doing ethical hacking walkthroughs and some other stuff. It's super helpful. So I love that site. It's awesome. All right, so we did that. So now we're just going to wait for that to get set up. And again, if I'm going too slow, feel free to skip forward. Just make sure that you follow the steps that are listed inside of the listed below in the description. So we'll do a sudo ufw allow and 25565, right? So that's going to allow that port through for Minecraft, and we're going to do a sudo apt install SSH. So we have to install SSH because we want to be able to copy and paste these things over as well. And if you do that, if you set up that SSH, then you can copy and paste things over, and it's so much easier. So we did that. Now we're going to do a sudo ufw allow and 22. I tried to do a ufw allow SSH, and it did say it was updated, but it didn't specifically work the way that I wanted it to. So now that we have that, you use your OS of choice, whatever terminal you want to do. So I'm going to do SSH Minecraft, and it's going to be at 192.168.1.149, and that should give us access. So yes, and then the password is just a simple Minecraft, right? So now I have access to that, and which is going to help me. So this command here is one of the ones that I kind of struggled with to begin with, right? And the reason being, if I go over here, this is actually listed under the, for I believe the Danish or the German side. So I thought that was an error, but it's not, because in the U.S. the most current version is 1.21.4, but this is .5. So we want to keep that the way that it is. So there's our wget, and so we have that there. Now we're going to do a sudo. Actually, first thing we're going to do is mkdir. We're going to call it Minecraft, and this is perfect if you are just so if you screw it up, you can rm-tac star everything in the Minecraft directory and just start over, which is so much easier. So we're going to do a sudo move. So, and that's going to go to Minecraft. Okay, so you're going to run into an error here when you run this. So sudo Java, and we're just going to copy and paste this in. I'm going to put this in the description as well, just so everyone can copy and paste this in if you'd like. Paste. So sudo Java Xms1G Xmx2G jar server.jar, and then nogui. If you try to set this up from the Minecraft website, the issue you might run into is that the server is named something else when you do when it's listed for the command. So just make sure that this command matches what you downloaded. So there we go. So we're going to run into that there, and that's just going to run. And we get an error, right? And the reason we get an error is because we have to do a sudo nano. We have to agree to the EULA license, right? So change that to true. Okay. And then now we're going to run it one more time and see if it works. And so it's spawning the area. Everything's set up the way that's supposed to. You need to download the Minecraft launcher, which you can get from the Minecraft website. And I'm looking at all my machines here to see where it shows up at. Okay, so we have our Minecraft launcher here. So we're just going to click. Make sure that this is set to. So if you want to use the older version, the way that you do that is that you can change the release. So if you click on Java, I believe it is. So you can change these up, right? But mine's at 1.21.5 because that was what I went through. So there we go. Multiplayer. We're going to add a server. We're just going to call it Minecraft. I believe I lowercased my Minecraft, so. And 192.168.1.149. Done. Ooh, look at that. So, my apologies. Looks like we have to go back and make a few changes. So again, we're going to do this in real time. So we're going to Minecraft. I think it was 1.20.6. So if we have to do that, we're going to go to installations, and then new installation, And we're going to click the drop down, or what we can do is the 1.20.6, right? So if I run that and then I click install, this is going to wait on the install. We'll go back to play. So it says it's preparing, so it might just take a little bit. Again, feel free to fast forward through this part if you need to. It's obviously going a little bit slow, which is completely fine on my side. And while we're waiting on that, I'll actually, so this is the one. In the links, there's a download server for Minecraft. And so this is the one that's in, whatever that is, German or whatever the case is. So this is the one that has the 21.5. So if you do this, you have to download this one here. And then you do a wget. So you right click, copy link, and then you wget it. And then here, when you run this command, this has to change to server.jar because that's what your wget is going to save as. And then you just run it that way. But now that we're waiting, let's see if we got the Minecraft set up. Okay, so everything's running. We've got the new version set up. So now I'll put in multiplayer. And so this is the one that I have now that is changed to the 20.6. So I just modified it. So that was kind of a quick and easy way to go through that process. Kind of play around with it yourself. If you like the 1.21.5, go for it. If you want to keep it at the 1.20.6, that's okay too. It's all kind of up to your preference and what you're concerned with. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please like and subscribe as well. I'm hoping that this one really helps you kind of set these up and play some Minecraft with your friends and family. Thanks again for watching.